Hello, this is Joseph Land, and welcome to my series, Ask Joseph Land. And I'm excited about the questions you guys have been sending in to me every week, and just this week is no exception. Some great questions from all of you who are out there listening to our podcast and our social media posts and our videos. I want to thank you for that. And if you go down and press like and hit the subscribe button and share this with your friends, we would really appreciate it. And so thank you for joining me today. I want to answer 3 or 4 questions here, and hope this is a real blessing and a benefit to you. Robert asked me this: is an MBA required to be an entrepreneur? Is a master's degree in business required to be an entrepreneur? No. I don't have one. I know people who don't even have a college education who are great entrepreneurs. The only thing that's required of you to be an entrepreneur is, number 1, the dream in your heart, the vision that you've gotten, your God-given vision, and your tenaciousness and your desire and your commitment to make that come true. Education is great, but you know what? I got a great education after I got out of college by running my business and learning the hard way along the way. And you will too. And that's why I am so adamant about having a mentor to teach you what it is you need to know and to help you along the way, so that you don't experience the pitfalls that people like me who didn't have one early on experienced. And boy, when I realized that I needed a mentor, man, I got right on that. But Robert, no, you don't have to have a master's degree in business administration, an MBA, to be an entrepreneur. You don't have to do that. Just have to have a desire and a will to be successful and to win for your family. Arjon asked me this question. Excuse me, I want to hold that question till last. Andrew asked me this question: do you need a job before becoming an entrepreneur, and why or why not? Well, I can talk both sides of that question, and I think, yes, jobs are good. And if you're looking to have a job and be the best person you can be in that company, then I applaud that. But if you're looking to build a business, you know, maybe that job experience will teach you some things that you need to employ in your own business, things that you need to do and things that you don't do. I'll tell you, out of college, I had 1 or 2 jobs, and I just decided I wanted to work for myself, and I wanted to do my own thing. And I had a vision in my heart to be in the transportation business, and I went after it with everything that I had. And so jobs are great. You can get a job and get that experience and start a business. And here's what I see a lot of people doing. They have a job, and then on the side, they have a side business in their own personal hours. But my advice to you and counsel to you is that if you're working a job for a company and you're working for someone who's your boss, give them your absolute best while you're there on that job. And your personal time is your personal time. If you want to have a side business, like you do hobbies, you know, that's your personal time. If you want to do a side business in your personal time to make extra income, or if you have a dream that requires, you know, you to work in your personal time to build your own business until someday you can look at it and say, wow, I can do this full time. So all those are options, and I think jobs are good. And I remember right early on in my career, after baseball, I worked for a bank on a management training program. And I didn't like it because I wasn't making a lot of money, and the people at the top of the bank were making the money. And so I decided that I wanted to be one of the bank's largest customers by having my own business. So I just think differently than most people, and I hope you'll start thinking that way too. You know, if we can create entrepreneurs who are helping people and employing people, and man, we can generate our own economy. That's the way I feel. Now, this is a great question. Arjon said, should age be a factor or be a hindrance in becoming an entrepreneur? The answer is no. I don't care how young you are, you can have your own business. I don't care how old you are, you can start a business. Sam Walton started at Walmart in his early 60s. I mean, think about it. And look at the giant it became. And so age is not a factor in my thinking. I remember I was 25 years old running my transportation company. It was about a $23 million business. And I went to see a customer in Philadelphia. This is a great story. And I want you to remember this story because people don't remember facts, they remember stories. And so I want you to remember this story, and you're going to laugh when I tell you the story because, you know, I was so tenacious, and that's what I preach. So I go to see this customer in Philadelphia. I spend the night. I fly up from my base in Florida. I spend the night at a hotel. Early the next morning, I have a 10 o'clock appointment with a buyer at this huge chain store. And gosh, man, I'm really needing to get their business, and they've been talking favorable to me, and I've given them a few trucks when they needed them. And so I had this appointment at 10 o'clock in the morning the next day with a buyer. And so I go into the lobby, I introduce myself to the receptionist, I give her my name and so forth, and I tell her about my appointment. She says, "Okay, Mr. Land, thank you. Have a seat, and I will tell the buyer that you're here." And so she did, and 10:30, nobody shows up. 11 o'clock, nobody shows up. 12 o'clock, nobody shows up. And I'm asking her, is something wrong? I said, "No, Mr. Land, they have your information, and they know you have an appointment, and I guess it is busy today, but they haven't come up to see you yet." And I said, "Ma'am, I'll tell you what you do. You go back and call that buyer, Mr. I won't mention his name. His name was Paul. You tell Paul that I came all the way to Florida to see him with a confirmed appointment. I'm going to sit in his lobby until he sees me. If it's from now till 5 o'clock, if I have to spend the night in his lobby, I'm going to see him before I go back to Florida." Now that's tenacious, isn't it? And so finally about 2 o'clock in the afternoon, I was just sitting there making phone calls, reading, so forth. About 2 o'clock in the afternoon, the head man, the man over the whole operation, his name was Jack. I won't say his last name. He comes out into the lobby and he said, "Mr. Land?" I said, "Yes, sir." He says, "I'm Jack so-and-so, and I'm in charge here." He says, "I'll tell you, I respect you because you're tenacious about what it is you want. What do you want from us, son? You want some of our business?" I said, "Yes, sir. I had an appointment with one of your buyers, and I came all the way from Florida to see you. And I'm building a really nice company, and I'd just like to tell you about it." He said, "Come on back to my office." But lo and behold, I was so naive, I didn't know he was a man in charge. And so I go back to his office, and I start talking to him about what it is I'm going to do. And he asked me, he said, "Son," he said, "how much of my business do you want?" I said, "I'd like to have all of it." Hey, get a shot, I want it all. He laughs about like I just did. He said, "I'll tell you what." He said, "I respect you so much. I have sat here and listened to you talk about your business and your passion for what it is you're doing. I was absolutely mesmerized by your story, how you started, what you believe you can do." He said, "We're going to give you some business." He said, "And besides that, I've already told my assistant to get all the buyers here. We're taking you to dinner tonight, and we're inviting all the buyers' wives to come to dinner with us because I want them to hear how you talk about your business." He said, "I've never experienced a young man talk about their business the way you do." And he says, "By the way," he said, "how old are you, son?" And I'm thinking, if I tell him I'm 25, he's going to think that I maybe can't do this. And so I crossed my fingers and I said, "God, please forgive me, but I'm going to tell a little fib here." I said, "Sir, I'm 35. And so we go out to dinner that night, and I'm talking to him about what it is I'm planning to do, and giving him a great raid out of Florida and California or wherever they need trucks. And he said, "We're going to give you our business." He said, "We're going to give you whatever you can handle." And so, man, I was so excited. So I went back to my base in Florida, and sure enough, that Monday we started loading their trucks from all over the country, all over North America. And it was such a blessing. And so about 10 years later, and they were a client for my lifetime in the business. And so 10 years later, Mr. Jack so-and-so was hospitalized, and he was in the hospital dying of a terminal cancer. And so I heard about it, and I flew to Philadelphia, and I went to see him, to sit with him in the hospital. And I said, his wife was there, and I said, Mr. Jack, I said, I want to tell you, you gave me a break when I needed it the most. And I want to thank you so much for all you've done for me. You made my company. And he said, son, he says, you made our company. He says, I've never seen anybody so tenacious about what they wanted to do. And we all learned a lesson. That night we took you to dinner, and we all learned a lesson by dealing with you every day, because you deal with integrity and you're aggressive and you know what you want. He said, by the way, son, said, how old are you now? I said, I'm 35, Mr. Jack. He says, gosh, he said, you've been 35 for 10 years. So age is not a factor. So, John, age is not a factor. It doesn't matter how young you are or how old you are. You can be successful in a business of your own. You just got to want it. You got to want to do it. So God bless you guys. Thanks for joining me today. It's been a privilege to answer your questions. Again, hit the like button and subscribe to this channel. We'd love to have you follow what we do and share this with your friends. But God bless you guys. Have a great day.